What do a pantsless Florida man throwing rubber snakes, a ghostly parent, and a woman whose face was twisted into a demonic grin all have in common? They were all caught on camera, and they're all kinda unexplainable. These are real demonic possessions caught on security footage. So this is security footage of a car plowing into a police station. Luckily, it wasn't a robot from the future looking to terminate anyone in the building though, just a dude in a blouse with no pants ranting and raving that he was possessed by the devil, throwing rubber snakes all around the place. Guess what state this happened in? It's Florida. So in June of 2024, a 40-year-old man named Joseph Leedy made headlines in Martin County, Florida when he drove his Toyota sedan straight into the lobby of the Martin County Jail. The cops found Leedy wearing only a woman's blouse with no pants. He'd poured motor oil on the floor and threatened to set the place on fire. Leedy also threw rubber snakes onto the floor and made disturbing statements, including that the, quote, devil told me to kill everyone. Deputies, of course, tried to subdue Leedy as he resisted arrest. Even after being tased and given multiple doses of medicine to try and calm him down, he still wasn't cooperating. Leedy was eventually restrained though, and taken to a hospital where he just kept yelling and screaming. Fortunately, no one was injured during the incident as the lobby was empty at the time. This next eerie clip comes out of Mexico. A teacher was captured on a security camera one night marking some papers when he started to act strangely. See, according to him, the mother of a student came to the classroom door and they had started having a conversation, but everyone was confused because the only person on camera was him. The teacher said that this parent came to the door and asked him for a student, who of course wasn't there. The school day had ended. He then said he watched as the mom walked to an adjacent room, at which point he got up to speak to her more, but when he got to that room, he found it was completely empty. And there was no sign of the woman anywhere in the hallway either. Suddenly, it dawned on him that something was just off about this whole situation, at which point he decided to grab his stuff and get the hell out of there. Now, this may be one of the most famous instances of a possible possession captured on security footage. The woman in the clip is named Debbie Burman. She was on a ghost hunt, part of a team investigating one of the most haunted houses in Britain, a place called The Cage in St. Osyth, Essex. It used to be a prison for women accused of witchcraft back in the Elizabethan era. 8 of these supposed witches are said to have died there. Well, the ghost hunting crew decided that they were going to stay overnight, and at around 3 a.m., while they were in the master bedroom, said to be the most active room in the house, something strange happened. Debbie started acting weird. Well, more like her face started acting weird, morphing into this twisted, ghoulish grin, her eyes turning pitch black. And it was all caught on one of the security cameras they'd placed in the room. Lead investigator Brad Mack was pretty shaken up, saying she looked totally unrecognizable. And things got even freakier when Debbie said that her back was burning. She lifted her jacket and there were 4 deep scratches down her back. Nobody was near her, nobody touched her, at least no one the team was able to see. There's this wild piece of footage out of Brazil that started making the rounds back in 2017. It was recorded at Miguel Couto Municipal Hospital in Rio de Janeiro, and honestly, it's one of the creepiest things ever caught on camera inside a hospital. So this guy shows up with a bullet wound to the face, and instead of lying down and waiting for help like a normal injured person, he starts wandering the halls. But it's not just stumbling around, he's walking like he's being taken over by something. His back is all rounded back, his arms and legs are jerking in these weird, unnatural ways, and he's screaming. But it doesn't sound exactly like screams of pain. Instead, it almost sounds like he's exhilarated, being controlled by someone or something else. Security guards managed to capture some of the altercation on camera. There was no official word from the hospital about what actually happened. They never released a diagnosis, never explained it medically. Any level-headed person would, of course, assume he was on something, but without context, you'd probably think this was behind-the-scenes footage of a zombie movie or something. In York County, Pennsylvania, a mom of 4 named Amanda Pitt caught something really weird on her security camera. It rattled her so badly, her family started thinking about moving. So at 3:40 a.m. on October 21st of 2023, Amanda had been sleeping when she suddenly woke up to the sound of heavy footsteps inside the house. Naturally, she checked her security camera feed, expecting to see her husband or maybe one of the kids moving around, but no, what she saw was something else entirely. "I made sure Jeffrey was still in bed because I thought it could be him," she said. "I checked on the camera and stared at it for a little bit because I thought I saw somebody." On the feed, there was this blurry, ghostly figure just standing in the doorway of her kitchen, not walking, not moving, it was just there. Totally freaked out, she shook Jeffrey awake and told him to go check it out. He crept downstairs, and there was nothing. No open doors, no broken windows, there was no sign of a break-in. But their dog, Ollie, was acting sorta weird, pacing the kitchen, clearly shaken up by something. Amanda couldn't shake the feeling. She stayed up the rest of the night, glued to the TV, trying to calm herself down, but that image was burned into her brain. "I couldn't go back to sleep. I laid there and turned on the TV because I was scared," Amanda continued. "I kept going back to the camera, but I couldn't see it anymore, so I thought maybe I was seeing things. The next morning, I didn't even know what to make of it." She kept a screenshot of the ghostly figure just to prove that she wasn't going crazy, but even with the photo, she still kept checking the camera again and again, trying to convince herself that she'd just imagined it. Thing is, this wasn't the only time something strange had happened in the home. "Things have happened here before," Amanda said. "The people who lived here before didn't live here for very long, but we never found out why." Amanda and her family moved in back in 2020, and weird stuff started happening almost immediately. She'd get camera alerts on her phone when no one was home. Doors would open on their own. The kitchen sink turned itself on one time. "I've never been a ghost believer, but we've had things happen that make us question it," she admitted. "That picture is terrifying. Thinking there's something like that in your house, you question everything." Well, if the dead ever did start rising from their graves and we had a real-life zombie situation on our hands, I imagine it would look something like this. This is some doorbell camera footage of a man trying to break into a house. I don't think this guy lives here. Now, obviously he's on something, right? Or a concoction of substances, but my God, does look like a zombie. The raggedy clothing, the scrapes and bruises all over his body, how lanky he is. It looks like he was just bitten by a walker from The Walking Dead. He's so out of his mind that he starts violently throwing himself into the door, and he hits it so hard that he eventually just falls backward, having nearly knocked himself out cold. I do not want to think about what this guy would have done if he'd made it inside the home. See if you spot anything creepy about this next clip. Here's some context for this one. So this is surveillance footage from a manga cafe inside a multi-tenant building in Japan. The camera is set up right at the reception counter, capturing footage of the elevator near the entrance. Now notice as the elevator doors open and the man exits the doors. He's not alone in that small elevator. Right behind him, you can spot this tall woman in a red dress. At first, it doesn't look all that unusual, but take a closer look. Doesn't she look almost freakishly tall? She'd have to bend down to clear the elevator doors. But maybe she wasn't standing there. To some, it looks more like she's floating in the air. Not to mention that she's completely motionless. The more you look at this clip, the more unsettling it gets. It almost looks like footage you'd see from The Ring. Especially because, according to people in the neighborhood, the woman in the clip, as grainy and low quality as it is to be fair, looked a lot like a woman who'd taken her life in a nearby park not long before this footage was taken. And, of course, we need to talk about the infamous Elisa Lam case, one of the most unsettling pieces of security footage online. Back in 2013, Elisa, a Canadian student, was staying at the Stiuso hotel in downtown LA. She went missing. No one could figure out what happened to her. Then the LAPD dropped that elevator footage, the one we've all seen. It's only a couple minutes long, but man, it gave everyone the creeps. In the video, Elisa steps into the elevator and starts pushing a bunch of buttons, like all of them, but the elevator doors won't close. Then she starts peeking her head out like she's hiding from someone. She moves her hands in this strange, slow motion sort of way as she steps in and out of the elevator, almost like she's playing a game. She also looks like at one point she's talking to someone, but no one else ever appears in the footage. This was all authorities had to work off of. She was nowhere to be found. A couple weeks later, though, hotel guests started complaining that their water tasted funny. Sometimes it would come out muddy and dark. Maintenance checks the rooftop water tanks and, well, there's Elisa's body. But this just opened up a whole Pandora's box. Most of it centered around two very big questions though. Why was she there, and how did she get in there? The doors were supposedly locked and alarmed, and the tank was not easy to access, especially in the state she was in. The official cause of death was accidental drowning, with her bipolar disorder listed as a contributing factor here. Still, that elevator footage has fueled theories for years. Everything from ghostly possession to some sort of cover-up. Maybe someone was there off camera she was hiding from. Well, there are still a lot of unanswered questions about this case to this very day, which is why we still talk about it. With all that said though, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.